Welcome back, guys. We're back on the K-Swap 308 today. We've got a roll bar to finish, and there's quite a few pieces left. We've got the X, or the diagonals, in the main hoop that we've got to do. There's a belt bar that's got to go in the main hoop. It's going to be several pieces. We've got the rear down bars and the rear base plates, and anything else that we decide has to go on this thing. So I'm going to quit talking, and we're going to start fabricating and get right to it. A quick recap if you missed the last episode is we've got a main hoop bent up, and we've focused on getting it to fit really nice and tight to the roof of the car. We've got a spreader bar at the bottom for rigidity, and we've got base plates made for the bottom of the main hoop. We've got templates made for the rear base plates, but everything else has yet to be made. But if you're enjoying seeing this stuff, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out a bunch. Picking up with those rear base plates, I've got the templates made and fit to the back of the car, and it's a bit of an atypical shape, but ultimately this is what I've decided on that will best support the load in case we do roll this thing over. The bottom plate sits atop a reinforcement rail that sits just under this sheet metal, and we wind up with a bolt on each side of it, which I like a lot, plus a bolt through the rear face on the vertical axis. After tracing out the templates, cutting them out on the vertical bandsaw, and then spending entirely too much time cleaning all of the edges and shaping them on the belt grinder, we've got some finished plates that are tacked together. With the base plates mocked up, now begins the long and tedious process of building the rear down bars. I'm starting this process by getting the bottom of the tube where it meets the base plate cut nice and flat so that we've got a good starting position to work with. From there, it's a matter of figuring out the angle and cope of the top of the tube so this thing will land where we want it to, and I'm aiming to have it land nicely nested in the corner. I don't want it too high or too low on the bar for safety's sake, and I'd like it to be aesthetically pleasing while I'm at it. After a bit of finessing the fitment with the flap wheel, I got the tube in place, and it's pretty close at this point. I did a little bit more work on it overall, but this is the idea. You can see the tube in place here and what our goal is, and I'm happy with the fitment. Getting footage of any of the process of making these down bars was actually pretty tough. Shooting through the glass didn't really work, and it was tough to get camera angles of what was going on back in those corners with me in the way, so this is the best you get. The process was the same on the other side, so off camera I made the other tube, and then I pulled the base plates out of the car, measured up some angles, and then got these things fully welded up. I put the base plates back in the car, and then did my best effort to tack everything into place on both sides. Next on the list is building the first main diagonal within the main hoop. Now we're going to be putting an X in this main hoop, which means one tube will be completely solid while the other one has to get cut in half. I'm going to put the solid tube ending above my head for the most strength possible where I'm going to be sitting. And that's pretty standard for both roll bars and roll cages. Once I got the tube cut to length, I turned to the tubing notcher to get the copes on each end set just right. Let me show you guys how this thing works. A tubing notcher is a really simple tool that is a must-have in any chassis or cage builder's arsenal. There are a lot of different variants and versions, but they all do very similar things. They all clamp the tube work that you're using, then they all have a hole saw bit matched to the size of your tubing to cut through it. This one has a dial indicator so you can fine tune your angle of the cut, and you can see the whole system in action here. With the tube clamped, I'm fine tuning my angle, and then reclamping the tube to make sure it doesn't move, because if it does, this tool can hurt you. That's because on the other end of this thing is a very powerful drill, as is the case with most of these. By virtue of the way that these things work, they can and do jam up, sending all of the power from that drill right through you. I counter this problem with a really long handle mounted to it, but even still, you can get punched in the face if you're not careful. It took a little bit of finessing, but I got the diagonal into place, which allows us to move on to the next step.
Oh man, we have one long tube left and one short one, I guess aside from the belt bar. And the long one needs to be 29.5 inches long. The longest one that I've got is right here. It's 28.75, just barely not enough. So now I've got to stop, got to run across town, get one tube just so we can finish this thing. It's gonna eat up an hour and a half of my day having to go do this. It's so frustrating. I know somebody out there feels my pain, I'm sure. All right, back in a minute.
Now that I'm back with more material, let's talk a little bit real quickly about what I'm using. This stuff is 1 3/4 inch 095 wall DOM tube. The DOM representing the fact that this is drawn over mandrel, meaning it has no internal seam, which is a key component in any modern roll cage material. DOM tubing has been the gold standard for roll cages for a long time, along with chromoly and the more recent Docal R8. 095 wall for this project might be slightly overkill, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I'd rather sacrifice a couple of pounds of weight for a really robust setup. With the first diagonal tacked into place, I was finally able to remove our ratchet strap, which was kind of holding this thing to shape, and thankfully it didn't move at all. Our gaps to the headliner are still perfect, and this thing is right where we need it to be. Because we're building an X, the two pieces that we have remaining will have the same dimensions as the first diagonal that we built. The copes on each end will be the same, as will the overall length. It's technically possible to build this tube in one piece and simply pierce the center of it, and I know people that build cages that way, but I find that the margin for error is way too slim, and it's a really good way to consume tube when you don't want to. So in our case, we're going to build it in two separate pieces, starting with the bottom. Fortunately, I'm able to copy the cope that we did on the other side and match the angles to make this one relatively simple to make. With the bottom cope done, I just needed to use an angle finder to figure out what our top cope is going to be, and then massage the length. Off camera, I got the top half of this thing built, which means it's finally time to massage everything and get the X to actually line up. As you can see, we're not quite there yet, but it's close, so we're going to keep removing material bit by bit until we get it just right. I want this to be perfect so that if you look at it from any angle, the tubes are truly in plane together. Fast forward just a bit though, and you can see we've got everything lined up and tacked into place. This thing's really starting to look good. You can see here just how well everything lines up, how in plane everything is, and just how well it's fitting the car. I'm really happy with it, to be honest with you. I think that the down bars in the back look awesome in the rear quarter windows, and the whole thing just adds a lot to the car. I'm starting to get excited with how I think this thing will look. The X lines up perfectly with the center, and you can even get a hint of it through the rear window, which I like a lot. Most importantly, this thing feels strong. Needless to say, I'd go upside down in it if I had to.
It's muggy out today, it's a sweaty one. But that step's done. As you guys saw, it's all tacked together. I think the next step is to actually try pulling it out of the car. I think that it should just come out. Hopefully I can do it by myself. This thing's gonna be kind of heavy considering how big it is. But I'm excited to see what it looks like on the shop floor or on the workbench, and I'll have to come up with a game plan on how to weld it and try to keep it from moving around. It's inevitably going to move some. I probably should weld it as much as I can in the car, but I'm a lot more comfortable doing it out of the car, and since this is a safety piece, I want the welds to be as good as I can make them, so we'll deal with any warpage as we get there. All right, let's pull it out.
It took a little bit of finagling because the rear down bars are technically wider than the B-pillars themselves, but with a little bit of work, it came out, and I was able to do this solo because it's relatively lightweight, which I'm happy with. On the workbench, it's cool to step back and see this thing. I'm excited to get it all welded up and finished. I think this thing turned out beautifully. I'm kind of carrying on at this point, but you get the gist. I think this one was a job well done. But there is something else to touch upon while this thing is out. I want to talk a little bit about construction and what are called nodes. You'll notice that all of the tubes on this roll bar meet together at single points, and this construction method takes a bit longer than how most roll bars or roll cages are built. It's a lot easier and less time consuming to just simply make the tubes not meet exactly together. Offsetting them by a single tube width or a few inches saves a lot of time, and it's more or less totally fine. But I like the fit and finish when they're built this way, and there's no way to build a stronger overall roll bar or roll cage. So take a peek next time you look into a car with a roll bar or roll cage and see how it's built, and you might notice how much effort somebody put into it.
So I'll be really interested in seeing how this episode actually turns out once I sit down to edit it, because I feel like I haven't recorded anything this time around. I spent all of my time focusing, working, trying to get this thing to a state of completion, and we're getting really close. You know, there's still a lot of small details that we need to do. We got to fully weld it. We've got to add some mounting holes, do some backing plates, things like that. But overall, it's getting pretty close. We do still have to do a belt bar on it, but I'm gonna wait until we have the seat mounted. I wanna be smart and responsible about this. There's a lot of things that matter that go into kind of seat belt geometry and mounting. I don't wanna take guesses and then wind up with something that's not safe further down the line. So once we get the seat mounted, we'll come back and add a belt bar through the center of it, but I'm not too worried about that. That'll be a pretty quick job. I do have a lot of parts that I've ordered though. Some of you guys will probably have noticed the M3 is officially gone. It left a few days ago. And with that cash, we've gone on and purchased the transmission for this thing. I mentioned that was one of the big items left. So we've got a sequential gearbox on order and on the way. We have our fuel cell officially in production. Our engine should be pretty close to shipping here in the next couple of weeks. And I've got a bunch of other small stuff that I've ordered. It's on the way. I've got a custom intake manifold on the way, all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm pretty excited. We've got a bunch of parts coming. We're gonna start making some really fast progress here pretty soon. Should be exciting. So that's my update for you. I'm done rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I appreciate you guys following along and supporting as always, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday.